By the way, I've already hit record. You feel me? I'm not doing an intro because I don't feel like it. However, we're on the stream. We're back. We got the homie Fire Dog here. We got the homie Fredo here. We got the homie Sweaty here. You know what I'm saying? For now, people might pop in or out. I don't know. But we got the homies here. First order of business. First discussion. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it. 1043. Luffy's melting. Candle wax, resin, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
That's the discussion. What? And completely speculatory.
Okay.
Is it the Hanuman? Is it the Sun Wukong? Is it something else? Is it the Gomu Gomu different version? What is that? What is Luffy doing right now? Is this Joy Boy resurrected?
Yeah. Real quick, Sweaty.
Real quick, yeah.
Just say it. So me and Sweaty have pretty much the same idea, but I'm gonna let him take this because he can explain it way better than I can.
All right, let's get it. I want to discuss, man. I want to hear what y'all think, bro. Okay. I want to hear what y'all think, and I want to hear what the chat thinks. You know, and we'll come together and try to come to some sort of like conclusion out of all of these.
Bet. Sounds good. So basically, I'll talk about why I don't think it's the Sun Wukong fruit, and then I'll talk about why I think it is the resin fruit. So which one would you want me to do first?
You jump out there, do whatever you want to do, bro. I'm here for both of them.
I bet. So I'll tell you why I don't think it's a Sun Wukong fruit, right? So the Sun Wukong fruit, the problem with the Sun Wukong myth is the cudgel, the clouds, and the whole persona of Sun Wukong. It doesn't fit the character from Journey to the West, which is the story where Sun Wukong comes from. It doesn't fit with Luffy in terms of the powers that he uses, the system he uses, and it doesn't fit for him to be that mythical zone fruit. There's no real link to any of his ability with Sun Wukong's. There's also a massive thematic issue with if it is Sun Wukong, and that is that Sun Wukong doesn't actually originate from Journey to the West. Sun Wukong's myth actually comes from the Nuwa myth in Chinese mythology, and Nuwa is the god that basically Nuwa fixes the world. When the world was all one continent, Pangea was one continent, the world gets broken by the old gods or the old rulers of the world, and the world is about to be destroyed, and Nuwa uses 5 elemental stones to fix the world, and the leftovers of those stones is where Sun Wukong is born from. And then after that, basically Nuwa looks after the new world. She takes over looking after the new world after it's been destroyed and after the old gods let it down. The problem with this myth and the why I don't like it is that if Luffy's fruit is Sun Wukong, then that means that Emu is the good guy and the world government and the celestial dragons are the good guys because they're the ones that saved the world after the ancient kingdom tried to destroy it.
Okay, so you think because narratively they're just not the good guys, it shouldn't be this?
It would be the way that Oda would have to spin it to make Emu look like the good guy and to make the celestial dragons look like the good guys would be have to be so precise. I don't think that's, and like with all he's shown of how evil they are, I don't think that's the route that he's gonna take.
It would have to be like like complete gaslighting on their side.
Basically,
it would be the same fucking twist as the Hunger Games.
Okay. Real quick. But question mark with the $5 says, you think Ace comes back? He made a promise, and Oda and Wano was exploring the concept of an afterlife. The Grim Reaper shit matters. Zoro should be dead. I don't think Ace is coming back, but I definitely feel like Oda with this Grim Reaper stuff and what happened with Luffy is definitely exploring like an afterlife thing. Like he's definitely exploring like coming back or beating death type of situation in Wano. But I think Ace coming back would kind of like it would kind of destroy that moment in Marineford for me, right? I think it was such a powerful moment, and it was what it was. For him to come back this late in the game, it kind of would like tarnish his character for me a little bit.
Yeah, he can't come back.
So I don't think he's coming back, but I definitely feel like Oda is exploring like beating death and things like that right now. Like he's definitely, I mean, it's evident with Zoro and this Luffy situation. We got $2 more from question mark. Thank you again for the other super chat, bro. Ace coming back on Wano as a spirit. as a spirit is crazy. I do have this idea, right? Because we seen it in Stampede. There was someone with a devil fruit ability that like manifested Ace in that like last moment. So I thought it would be cool if like whenever the Akainu fight happens is when I would like to see not like him manifested through a devil fruit, but him like being there in spirit, kind of what you're saying, like just being there alongside Sabo or Luffy or whoever's fighting Akainu at the time, like kind of getting his payback. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's through his brothers, not through him. So I
think that's part of the reason why Sabo has to be there, because obviously they say that you know that the part of the previous owner's soul is inherited to the fruit. You know, there's a connection between all the previous owners of a fruit and being connected to that fruit. So that's why I feel like Sabo has to be there, because otherwise that way Ace, part of Ace, still is there.
Yeah, for sure. All
right, so Swati, explain why we think it should be the resin fruit, and then I have an idea as how Luffy could use it.
All right, bet. Yeah, well, let me read this one more super chat and we'll jump right
one
in
more
there.
Yeah.
We got $10 from Kevin Williams. Thank you so much for the $10, bro. Thank you so much. So grateful. Says, I believe that Joy Boy couldn't awaken until Luffy died. That's something that we were just discussing earlier. Kaido wanted to be Joy Boy, so maybe that's why he attempted suicide so many times. Maybe Kaido knew a secret to Joy Boy's awakening. Yeah, that's exactly what I was alluding to earlier. Like, I feel like the death is important. Death completes a man. Grand death, spectacular death, like all these things Kaido talks about. Like, I feel like it just makes sense. So that's definitely something I want to discuss. But go ahead, Sweaty.
Okay, so the reason why the resin fruit or the latex fruit, if you want to be funny and call it the condom fruit, whatever you want to do with that, you know,
the magnum.
the magnum fruit. But yeah, no. So the reason why the resin fruit works, right, is so natural rubber is very different to what we classify as rubber nowadays, right? So actual natural rubber is a polyisoprene rubber, and it's very clear that Luffy is natural rubber, because when asked what type of rubber Luffy was in a previous SBS and in previous interviews, Oda has very specifically stated Luffy is made from natural rubber. He's made it clear that yes, Luffy is made from rubber, but he is made from natural rubber, and he's made that distinction multiple times. And the reason why that matters is because natural rubber, how it effectively is pulled from tree bark, and it's pulled from trees. It's the natural resin released from trees, and once it's vulcanized, that's when it changes property. So effectively, by changing the temperature of the rubber, you can change it. The melting of it changes it into an almost natural state where it is like a logia. Effectively, it'd be like the wax fruit, or it'd be like, which obviously the wax fruit isn't a logia, but it'd be like the mud fruit. It would be like any of those other liquid-based logias, and the reason why it works is because it's natural. So the whole point is that it could very easily be a logia fruit, because it is the natural state of natural rubber is in a liquid type state. So therefore, by having that changing temperature, by having that melting of the rubber, what that does is it allows it to return to its natural liquid-like state, which then fits in with the logia.
And from
people are saying go ahead, Fido.
And from what we know, it could also be classified as a special paramecia, which is what my idea is. Go ahead, what you were saying.
No, I was just saying, people in the chat are saying like oil ? Like they're at. Do you think it's like what is, like, I guess it's like liquefied rubber? Is that like is it a different
so when it's being pulled directly, it's like this white paste. And if you notice the picture of Luffy in the chapter at the end, alongside the melting of him, you see that although it's black at the top, parts of it that actually melted have started to turn white.
Mm-hmm.
And so the white liquid, the white gooey liquid that is natural rubber in its natural state is a white sticky gooey liquid. You know, pores and all of that shit, and you know, whatever. But basically, that is the natural state of that. So what it looks like he's doing, he's actually his dark hair is melting into the natural state of natural rubber, which would be the resin or the latex, if you want the technical scientific term, as it comes off the tree, the polyisoprene natural rubber in its natural state. And the reason why it'd be a logia and not a special paramecia, in my personal opinion, so this is just headcanon, but the reason why it'd be that is because there's a clear distinction between what is natural and what is not natural. So the reason why there was the retcon to state that Katakuri's fruit is a special paramecia is because it's not naturally occurring. Whereas it has been categorically stated by Oda on multiple occasions that Luffy's fruit is a natural fruit. So if it's becoming that natural logia state, it would be a logia rather than a special paramecia.
And now here's my idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been saying this for a while, that my idea of a special paramecia is a fruit that has some properties of a logia and some properties of a paramecia, but do not exactly fit in either category. And we can see this with Katakuryu's fruit. His abilities do everything a logia can do, but his ability isn't that of a natural substance. Whereas Luffy, he has some natural resistances like logias do, like he's immune
Yes.
to blunt forces, being crushed, falling. His tons of
Electricity.
electricity. So that's a natural. I'm trying to. The word has evaded me. Natural property of logias, but he cannot create or fully become, like, his body is naturally rubber all the time. It's not like some conscious thing like that logias have to do to change. His body's rubber all the time, but he can't create rubber from his body, so
Yes.
it doesn't completely fall into logia.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
therefore,
okay.
I could argue that's why I argue his is a special paramecia.
Got you. Yeah, there's a.
Yeah.
I was
There's
just,
also another
just
reason
search
as
something
well.
up just because I wanted to see,
Yeah.
like some information about it. But I seen, I just looked up liquefied rubber just to see, let's just look at it. And there says here that it's extremely versatile, and
Yes.
it can be adjusted from fluid to thick mixtures pretty
Yes.
quickly.
And,
So
and that's what
yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
about to
so
get into.
it kind of looks like based on
Based on the
that,
temperature.
it's
yeah.
like
Mhm.
yeah, based on the temperature. Look, based on that, we know Luffy can heat his body up
Yep.
kind of
Yes,
at will.
yes,
So
exactly.
it kind of looks like it's an awakening. Like he's
Yes.
able to
Yeah.
use
As he's
rubber.
awakened his state.
Yeah, he's able to use rubber in whichever form that he wants at any
Yeah,
time.
exactly. He's heated himself up to the point where he can now change the rubber into a new state,
Yeah.
basically, or
Uh,
return
Okay.
to a different state.
And-
And there's
and
also
my-
another reason. Oh, sorry, go on.
So what I was, you remember Sin? Well, like a couple weeks back, we were talking how Luffy, if he awakened, he could have the abilities of like Reed Richards to manipulate his body freely.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my idea of how he could use this awakening.
I think that would be way cooler than the Rubber World shit. Like, bro,
Yeah, it will be a lot cooler. It will be much
like,
cooler to
him
to
being
have that.
able to just like freely manipulate his body at will into whatever like viscosity is crazy.
Yeah, and there's also another reason why resin works, which is 1043. So 1043 broken down, or 1043 broken down in Japanese. If you use the second readings of each of the kanji for each of the words, is jushi no mi. So jushi, which is 10, no, which is another way of the 40, and then jushi no mi is basically, you can read the chapter number like this. Jushi, a different kanji for jushi, but the same reading, it is the Japanese word for resin. So effectively, there's a suggestion that 1043 literally means him to giving us the fruit name is jushi no mi, which means resin fruit.
Okay. So, okay, cool. Now we kind of figured out, well, not figured out, but we kind of have a basis for our ideas on the abilities, right? Like as far as like what he's going to be doing with the fruit. How could this tie in with like the Nika stuff with like I think that's a like missing connector, right?
There's a big note right on the straw hat that Emu has in the basement is all kind of frazzled, but it's also kind of like looks like it's in a slightly odd condition, right, compared to the one that Luffy's wearing, for example.
Yeah.
Most people have obviously just attributed that to be an age thing, but other people think that perhaps the reason why it looks slightly misshapen and the edges of it all look slightly bashed up, apart from obviously being the age thing, is that maybe it's where it's been melted so many times that it hasn't always set back to the same shape.
Right.
So there's a current suggestion that Joy Boy, Nika, whoever, if they are the same person, if Joy Boy isn't, and Joy Boy and Nika are still possibly two different people, but that looks less and less likely as time goes on. But there's a big suggestion that Joy Boy had the same fruit as what Luffy has.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like maybe it's just they had the same fruit. Like
Yes,
that could be that could be that connection.
But there's also the past history we've got with devil fruits, which says that the previous owners pass on part of their will, part of their soul through the fruit. So there is a suggestion that we're getting to the point of where Luffy died. Where Luffy died, Joy Boy has come back through the fruit, and the reason why he's Luffy in quotation marks is awakening now is because it's actually Joy Boy waking up, not Luffy waking up. That's the reason why it's Nika, which is grin at the end, not Nishishishi. So facial expressions aren't documented in speech bubbles in One Piece apart from laughs. They're the only facial expression that are documented, and the fact that he makes the noise Nika when his normal laugh is Nishishi suggests that, so literally Luffy's voice has disappeared. The drums can be heard by Zunisha can hear the drums. Zunisha's calling the return of Joy Boy, and then all of a sudden Luffy's state starts changing and he has a different laugh, or he has a different expression than his normal laugh. So what we're taking away from that is it's not Luffy that's waking up right now, it's Joy Boy that's waking up right now.
Zunisha saying what she's saying is like, it's because Joy Boy is back, but it's like through the fruit.
Yes.
Okay, and that could also make sense with it being the silent grin.
Yes.
And his voice being gone could also be like connected. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's starting to make some sense here, man. Cool. We've kind of established abilities, kind of established the connection. I'm thinking that, yeah, bro, honestly, you said it was what with the juice.
So there's 10 is Ju, and then 4 you can either read as Yon or there's Shi. So Jushi is how you can read 10, and Jushi as a word is the Japanese word for resin.
So resin is juicy. So is it juicy fruit? Like juicy fruit. The literal chapter name is Jushi no Mi. So basically, you know how it's Gomu Gomu no Mi. So basically, obviously he hasn't repeated it, but literally the if you translate the chapter number, you can translate it to Jushi no Mi, which would be resin fruit. Rather than resin, it'd be just one. But that's because he can't fit it in twice. But yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's the resin fruit, or the resin. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of funny if it's juicy fruit, because it sounds like juicy fruit, low key. And that sounds like some shit. That sounds like some shit that motherfucking Oda would do for real.
Yeah, there is a slight bit of hint to this though. Just quickly before just to say, I don't like, out of all the options, the resin fruit actually, it makes sense because Oda's laid the natural rubber foundation before he's made the rules. He's established it, so I don't mind it like at all. I actually think it's kind of cool in some ways. The one thing that's slightly bittersweet about it though is Luffy. What made Luffy so appealing, especially pre-time skip, right, is Luffy was getting stronger, fighting against better people all the time with actually a pretty shitty fruit. Like his fruit never looked that good. Like when we got introduced to Logia, some of the zones we saw, like some of the fruits we saw were crazy, and then we get like this kid who can stretch his arms and legs a bit, and like his fruit never looked that crazy good. And it was the fact that Luffy made it cool that was like such a big appeal to the pre-time skip. And like obviously I understand it's got to the point where he had to learn to awaken it, so there is still that stipulation there. But if it gets to the point of the moment he awakens his fruit actually becomes kind of broken, that is a little bit bittersweet for me in some ways, because I do still feel like I get it, but at the same time, like it kind of takes away a little bit of the fact that Luffy was reaching the top in spite of limitations. Luffy was reaching the top in spite of the fact that he didn't have like a crazy fruit, in spite of the fact that he didn't have this, that, or whatever. If you start flipping that and actually start giving him some of the top tier stuff, it kind of, like I said, it feels a little bit bittersweet.
I feel that. We're going to end the video here. Make sure that you guys tune into the live stream so you can be a part of the chat when we're having these discussions, and you might be on the video, man. The chat is on the screen right now. Chat, please. Chat, say hi YouTube in the chat. Say hi YouTube to the chat so they can see who was here for this video.
We need records.
Yeah, we need records of who was here. But
we need records.
Y'all could have been here if you had popped in. You could have been a part of the video, but you're not here. So make sure you're here next time. Make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can be here. I got a bunch of super chats to read. Love y'all, man. See y'all in the next one.